think so.
All right. I'm down with the vibe.
Yeah, hopefully this isn't. My one worry is that this is like just going to loop and the audio is going to be horrible.
No, you're fine. You're fine. What up, y'all? Welcome to the In Orbit podcast today. I am this evening's host, Ty Williams, sitting here with my man Adam Robb.
What's up?
What is good?
Oh, it is coming through.
Yeah.
What's coming through?
What's up? You hear that?
Oh, on a delay.
Something's not right.
Well, hang on 1 second. We got a technical difficulty. We got to work out real quick. I'm getting like feedback. I can hear myself. Can you guys hear me? How are you guys doing this evening?
Are we listening to the stream? Because it sounds like it's just enough delay to be that you had Facebook open or something. It sounds like it's just enough delay to be that.
I think we're good. I think I fixed it. Okay.
I don't hear a loop.
I moved the slider and.
All right, bet.
Let's
See, this is
go.
why you're the DJ. This is why you do all the technical stuff.
What's the slider? Is that like Arby's?
All right, sounds good. All right. Dang. Of course, wouldn't be a week at the In Orbit podcast without some crazy shit happening.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, that's the thing. It keeps it organic. You know
That's
what I mean? Lets people know that we're real people.
As you know, as you can see, actually, we are bereft of a couple people. A couple of our dudes are sick this evening.
Yeah, it's like everybody. Shank,
I think
Puff.
Yup.
at least it's not just me and you trying to like pretend to
Yeah.
rap.
Do that one episode. Yeah, we just
literally
talked about
bullshitted for an
stuff.
hour. He put on the Whack Beat Challenge, and I was like, "Nah, fam." And he was like, "I'm giving it a shot," and then went for it, and then immediately, like 4 word deep, was like, "No."
Do we actually have a clip of that? I feel like we should really get a clip of that because
It was
like,
atrocious.
I want to get some more like some short form stuff. You know what I'm saying? Put more of that stuff out. But anyways, well, since we are here and we are bereft of our rappers this evening, I don't know.
Charlie will come in maybe at some point, but
That's dope. I feel like we should talk about like just some other shit. You know what I'm saying? We'll see what's up. This is a bit of an experimental episode, so we're gonna see how this goes. So first topic, have you guys heard about the whole like Lizzo with the flute thingy? Like, you know what I'm saying? How's your guys' reaction to that?
No,
shit?
I have no
You ain't
idea
seen
what's
it yet?
going on. So
You haven't seen it yet? Have you seen
yeah,
it?
was it Thomas Jefferson's?
I'm gonna.
I
Google
think
this.
so.
You said a flute?
Yeah. Okay. So like
it was like a 300-year-old flute, or however old America
I'm
is.
just gonna type in Lizzo flute into Google and see what comes up.
oh, I'm
Yeah.
sure you'll get something.
Yeah, because she's actually like a well-trained flautist.
How do you say that? Flautist? Is it?
Flautist. I think that's what it's called.
Lizzo's historically important flute performance at the Library of Congress. What?
I mean, I think that shit's pretty cool.
Yeah.
For real.
And everybody.
Why did they
freaking
let
out
her
about
play
it.
it again? Like,
It's like when it's like in even. Like
Accidentally summons this Forbes title says Lizzo plays a 200-year-old crystal flute. Accidentally summons a horde of trolls.
oh my god.
that's the title.
I'm clicking on that one. That one got me.
That's
Good job,
funny.
Forbes.
They did it. But it was like when it was like a way better situation than when Kim Kardashian wore Marilyn Monroe's dress, and like people were saying they ripped it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, I guess if you want to get upset about historical preservation or something, that's cool. But I think it's pretty cool. You know what I mean?
You want to see what Colin said?
What do you say?
He said, "Let her roll a blunt with the Declaration of Independence next."
I'm kind of down for that.
Oh, James Adams flute. That's who it was.
James Adams flute. Who's James Adams again?
James Adams.
Is he like Sam Adams' brother, like the dude who made the beer?
I don't know.
Not it?
To be honest, I would have to look that up.
All right, cool. I'm not gonna Google it. I'm not. I love history, but I'm not up on like that amount of American history.
Sure,
yet,
it was
you know what I'm saying?
James Adams and not James Madison or John Adams. Because I know who both of those people are, but I don't know.
But were they flautists though? is the question.
John Adams was a president. James Madison was a politician.
I can still hear it's kind of slight. Oh, James Madison,
Oh, it was James
That's
Madison.
He was a
James
president as
Madison,
well,
I know,
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure.
Okay, gotcha.
the third president.
Nice.
He's a James Adams, but it's James Madison.
James
So okay, we
Adams.
got it. I think we figured it out.
All right.
Look at us in our
Took us-
7th grade education level.
Yeah, but
Right.
we do have the internet.
We do
Thank
have
God for Google.
technology.
It took
I don't
us a
really,
second.
just a quick glance. I don't really have any issues with that. Like,
I don't think so.
you have there's this violin that was created out of a specific wood type that like you just can't find anymore. Either that or it's
Stradivarius.
yeah, Stradivarius violin. That one of the OG Stradivarius violins that was created by the original creator himself. That they just keep locked up, and if anybody, I think they whip it out at like Carnegie Hall, Broadway. There's like specific.
Yeah, situations.
There's specific situations where like the lead violinist is allowed to touch it, and then it's only for like 2 hours, and then like people run up, take it, and like leave with it again, and like put it back in its place. So yeah,
like
when it comes to music,
violin or something like
it's supposed to be like the most crystal clear sound out of any violin ever created. That's just
like is it just tuned very well, or is it just like
I think it's the specific wood type, the craftsmanship that he put into the piece itself, and then the specific strings that they use.
Legendary.
But yeah, I guess it would be
cool.
like getting the chance to play Slash's guitar, you know, like
wouldn't that be fucking cool if they did that shit for like MLG players or some shit? There's like a crystal controller or some shit that's like got a bunch of fucking extra buttons that are like do like the best moves.
You know what I want?
You're only allowed to touch it during fucking tournaments.
I want to fly the kite that Benjamin Franklin flew
in the lightning storm.
It's probably not existing at this point.
Wouldn't it fucking like burnt up if it got hit by?
Yeah. I don't even know if that's real. Is that a real situation that happened?
I have no idea.
Or is
so
that?
much
I feel like that might just be
that area is just like conjecture and like legends that they tell kids to be innovative.
I mean, if he's the only one that was around when it happened, and that's just his story about it, there's no way for us to verify that shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, hey, cheers to like having the balls to fly a kite with a metal string in a lightning storm just to see what happens. You know.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
That's bold.
Yeah.
Very bold.
I feel like you could have just like went with a Tesla coil. I was kidding.
Right.
But outside of that, though, so other topic I want to talk about. So movies. Awesome movies have coming out. Or are coming out here soon.
Right.
But what did you guys think? Has anyone seen Thor: Love and Thunder just yet?
I haven't yet. No.
No.
It's actually one of those superhero movies that proves that Disney is. Yep. Sorry. That proves that Disney is totally in control now of pretty much just about everything, because they put like a family, like an extra family spin on it, and that could just be the director, but like I kind of feel like it's not necessarily as epic as all the other ones have been, and I can kind of see that it's like a trend going into it. I will say She-Hulk is amazing though. Like,
I haven't seen that. I saw like part of it this weekend.
It is so.
My brother-in-law was watching it.
It's dope. It's definitely, but as I say that, it's kind of weird because like She-Hulk, the TV show, is basically like supposed to be like a lawyer show.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Right. It's not necessarily like an action show like everything else has been, or as like the Netflix releases or whatever the fuck. So it's like I think personally that as far as TV and stuff, it works. But if you're gonna do like these epic movies that are supposed to tell like this long ass narrative and introduce these things, it's supposed to be like. During every fucking serious moment sort of thing.
Right.
But again,
not everything should be Guardians of the Galaxy.
Like, that's what I'm saying, man. Like sometimes that shit works. Like, and a lot of the time it's needed like as a break in between all that epicness for all the movies and stuff like that.
Right.
But now it just kind of seems like that's the default. But I am super excited because Hugh Jackman is now reprising his role as a Wolverine in the next Deadpool movie.
Really?
And Deadpool is being officially added to the MCU. So both of them are. So the next like MCU movie coming out that I'm super excited for technically would be that. I don't know if you guys saw the trailer, but it was awesome.
Which one?
It's Deadpool 3.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, it's amazing.
I wish we could watch.
I just love Deadpool. Is probably my favorite superhero like movie series that has come out in the last decade.
Oh hell yeah, that's awesome. One of Sony's best work, I think. Bless you.
That is one thing we're missing in here is like a monitor so we can watch a video if we want to.
Didn't we used to have one at the old studio?
Yeah, but it was kind of like built into that corner. So
Can we like set one up here at the end of the table? Like build it into the end of the table or something?
Probably work. Something. But what do you think of the new space, by the way? This is your first time here?
Oh, no, this is my second time.
Second time, okay.
Yeah, I love it. I love the new space. It looks immaculate.
Yeah.
It's great. It's a whole lot more homey. You know what I'm saying? We have like an awesome-ass bathroom.
It's because we all live here.
We do all live here. I mean, he showers and takes the ice baths.
Exactly. We all live here now. Yep. I sleep in the studio.
Yeah.
Yep. Hustle.
In the booth.
I'm under the stairs like Harry Potter.
He chose that willingly. We didn't put him under there. Banish you to the shadow realm.
Adam's title now is the redheaded stepchild.
Harry Potter. I am a redheaded stepchild. Isn't that funny? I got a stepdad.
My dad.
And a stepmom.
Where's Charlie at when you need him?
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean?
My dad.
Is he even still here?
Let's see what comes.
Is that his call? Is that
Hey, my dad.
is that like a duck call we're gonna use for him now?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
My dad.
Charlie Parker.
Charlie Parker, our producers in the studio somewhere, or he
Yeah.
could. I think,
We got a fresh computer.
Oh yeah, we got a fucking
Yeah,
Mac
was he
now.
Going to grab cables or something?
I
Or
think
is he
so.
still here?
Like
I don't
cables
know.
with the
I
Mac.
think he was here when I just saw him before we started the podcast. I don't know.
Yeah, with All Circles Media, we have like a lot of people here that do a lot of pretty awesome stuff. Most of them music, but we also have this dude Jan over here who
Mr.
is like
Jan.
the business mind behind pretty much the team actually here.
He's
you know what
making
I'm saying?
moves.
His business acumen actually
Squad.
has given us like a
Making
whole lot
moves.
more, I would say, perspective. You know what I'm saying? Outside perspective. You know what I'm saying? He has like the college education that's required to actually successfully make what we're doing successful.
Where
So,
did you go
like-
to college?
I went to Walsh University and ironically went to school for absolutely nothing that has to do with business.
Tell us a little bit about that. Actually, what was your initial major when you went to college?
My initial major, so I originally didn't want to go to college hardly at all. I grew up very blue collar. Was just like, I'm gonna join the military and then I'll figure out something to do.
What branch?
Like when I get out, Air Force. Well, I was gonna join the Marines, and then my grandpa kind of pulled a switcheroo on me on his deathbed, and was like, "I'm dying of leukemia. You're joining the Air Force." I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like, I've lived my entire life thinking that I wanted to join the Corps because, like, that's what my family does, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm the only Air Force guy in a family of Marines, which
How the
makes
fuck-
Thanksgiving
that's gotta suck.
really shitty.
Yeah.
That
Sometimes.
sucks so bad.
Oh, it was horrible when I first got in. They're like, "Oh, how was graduating from Girl Scout camp?" Suck a dick. Yeah, so I wasn't going to go at first. And then I was kind of thinking about it. I'm like, okay, well, the military's going to pay for it, so why not? Like, I might as well go for it. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew I didn't want to be a doctor. Everybody was telling me that I should be a doctor.
Yeah.
And I was like, I looked at the length of school, and then my big thing is like,
Isn't it like 10 years of schooling?
yeah, and I wasn't afraid of the schooling because I was really interested in everything to do with medical. Like, the human body just fascinates me. I still listen to podcasts, like hour-long podcasts
Just
about
about
the
anatomy and
brain
shit?
and anatomy and path and like the disease processes and cancer research. Like, it's my nerd out zone. You know what I mean? That's what I watch documentaries on.
So how old were you
And-
at this time?
I was 18.
Okay.
So go into school, and my dad was a respiratory therapist. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go for nursing
Was
because
your dad also in the military?
he was not. No, he's one of the only. Him and actually his generation basically skipped because they grew up during Nam, and the rest of my family like served in World War II. So there was like a generation where they didn't really join because they were just on the draft, and none of them got selected.
Oh, okay.
And none of them volunteered to go to Vietnam. So, I don't blame them. But I realized nursing, like, I could still get to do like 80% of what doctors do. But like, if I decide halfway through my career I'm tired of being an ER nurse, I could go be a labor and delivery nurse within 3 months of retraining. And I was like, I like that. A lot more flexibility, a lot less school. So that's what I ended up. I went to Walsh. I graduated with my nursing and clinical psychology degrees.
Nice.
Now, what did you plan on doing with the clinical psychology degree? Anything?
Still, this is kind of on my list eventually, but I went in and I was like, I'm going to work ICU. I was still in the military at the time, so I was like, I really wanted to be combat medevac. That's when I really started getting like super physically fit. I got into boxing. Like, I wanted to fly into combat zones and pull people out.
Now, were you already doing all of the training that was
I was
required
already
at this
doing
point?
all of that. Yep. And actually, right before I started the business, I turned down a captain's promotion. Like, I was gonna go do that. Like, I had dedicated everything in my life to doing that as a goal. I had a position. I had a helicopter team that I was gonna be assigned to. I was gonna be a captain. And I ended up turning it down to start the business. But as I started going through nursing school, I started to realize, like, actually, it's not just the like medical side that I'm really interested in. It's actually like talking to the people. Like, I loved hearing people's stories. So I got to year 3 in nursing school. I had been deployed, so it put me on a 5-year plan instead of a 4-year plan.
Mm.
And I was like, I'm going to take the maximum amount of credit hours that I can every single semester if Uncle Sam's going to pay for it.
Mm.
There's literally no more nursing classes that I can stack. So what is my next best thing? Like, what do I think is going to benefit me the most for the rest of my life, potentially, as a discipline of study? And I was like, if I can understand any more about how the human brain works and how the people's personalities work and abnormal psychology works and whatever else, I was like, that would probably be super beneficial. It would help in nursing, but also probably just help in general to be aware of those things. So I took it, and it definitely has turned out that way. It's been super useful in managing conflict, navigating relationships with people, understanding and empathizing where people are coming from. And my eventual plan initially was to be like a psych nurse practitioner and work in counseling and stuff like that, be kind of a counselor. I still might do that way later in life, but as of right now, it's like the furthest thing from my mind.
I feel like it's a decent fallback option. We all need doctors. Everybody needs more doctors in the world, for real. If I may ask you, so then what caused like the shift to what you do now with the Apex group and like everything that you're starting with, as you can tell, obviously, as of right now, that's not the route you went. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you know
It's definitely not the route that I went.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Appreciated, by the way. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, what
Yeah.
caused the shift to the avenue that you're in now?
I think it initially started back in like 2016. Was when I first discovered Gary Vaynerchuk. So I figured out who Gary V was, I think, in 2016. Was really started to dive into YouTube rabbit holes, like just started hanging out and like watching a bunch of his videos. He was talking about entrepreneurship, about this, like, you know, social media was relatively new at the time. Had been around for maybe 5-6 years. I think it really started hitting in like 2010, 2012. And he was like, this is an amazing place. You can network. You just have to be yourself, talk about things you're passionate about. Other people will find you, and then life will take you where it goes. So I decided the following year, we actually, as a county, Stark County, experienced, I think it was like 11 high school age suicides in a year.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, I remember that actually.
Yeah, it was.
What year was that? That was like
It was 2017.
2007. Yep.
Yeah, it was horrible.
That was wild. It was so wild. Like,
I remember because I like grew up in Canton South, and there was like a scare at Canton South, and Perry experienced a lot, and like that was the next school district over.
Not to make light of the situation whatsoever, but like I knew a couple of people like who were like just like I would say affected just because of how many people it was in a short span of time.
Yeah.
And not to mention there was a lot of media coincidentally that was coming out at the time that was related. Like I think that was around the time of 13 Reasons Why came out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. It was the exact same time period.
it was so wild. Like it was, I can't believe that was actually something that was going on. Like just as I was a young adult at the time. So like I
think
was
they
out of
called
high
it
school.
like a suicide pact, or
For
like
sure,
they
like,
couldn't figure out exactly what was going on, but it was like an epidemic.
Yeah, it was wild.
bad.
It was multiple counties across like America. Like it wasn't just like our little part of Ohio. It was kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, they ended up sending investigators. I mean, it was the whole nine. It was intense. And that year happened. I had just recently survived my own attempt. And I decided I'm going to start writing. Just starting telling my story, right? Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm like, my attempt was in high school. At this point, I'm like a junior in college. I'm a staff sergeant in the military. I feel like I have myself relatively together, pursuing my nursing curriculum and everything. And
making good money at this point.
Yeah, and I was like, well, kind of. I was working construction, flipping, apartments, in trying to just make it through college. But I felt like I was in a way better place than where I was in high school, right? So I just started a blog, and I just started writing about those types of feelings, like how do you deal with the feeling of inadequacy? How do you deal with feeling hopeless? How do you, there's all of these things that I chose to write about. And true to what Gary Vee talked about, people started finding me that were interested in that stuff. Yeah. And enough people found me that I ended up finding a friend and now probably lifelong business partner, Jacob Popio. He was in choir with me at Walsh. And he was like, hey, man, at one point I stopped writing the blogs because the two guys I was doing it with dropped off. And he was like, hey, why did you stop writing? I was like, the other people that I was doing it with, like, stopped doing it, and I didn't know if anybody was reading.
Right.
Because I didn't know shit about analytics at that point. I'm just throwing stuff out into the void and seeing what happens.
Yeah.
And he was like, I actually really enjoyed that. He was like, I was in a band. I've got a couple of mics. He was like, podcasts are supposed to be cool things. Like, why don't we just start one of those? So we just kind of said, fuck it. Started the pod. And then it got to a point about 3 years later, so around 2020, where we had hit 20,000, 25,000 listeners. And that's where the shift started to happen. That's where it was like, well, maybe I could do this. Like, holy shit, maybe there is enough people that like want to listen to our stuff that we could totally turn this into a business. And that was the first time that I ever thought like, I'm like this path that I've been dead set on, like grinding it out over the last couple of years. That was the first time I started to feel that intuitive pull that it was like, maybe you shouldn't be there. But I fought the hell out of that for the longest time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I can see it's worked out, or it working out for you. You know what I'm saying? Like I think it's just like I personally like watching you work and just like how you interact with people, because it's
I appreciate that, man.
Because it's pretty inspiring for real. Because it's like it's just nice to see somebody who is a genuine go getter and is an actual genuine like a nice dude. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like a lot of people, like he was just talking earlier about like, you know what I'm saying, I've done like everything possible to get ahead is like, you know, as ethically as possible, but there were certain times where it's just like, damn, I feel like a piece of shit because of certain ways that you gotta, you know what I'm saying, like pitch yourself, or like, you know what I'm saying, or like, you know what I'm saying, be for yourself in this kind of industry. And so even people who have that amount of empathy or self-awareness about it is super rare. So it's like, it's a pleasure to work with you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. There's definitely plenty of times where I've been like, felt like I was walking the line between cocky and confident. And I feel like that's something that just like is constantly brought up. But I used to like really shell myself back. So like the version of me that you guys are experiencing now is a way more solidly present version of myself that I've like, you know, rooted myself in the fact that I am a little bit of a badass, right? Like I accept that and I try to own that and I rock with it. Me in the past would try to like bring myself down in order to not be intimidating, because people used to tell me all the time that my presence was like intimidating as fuck.
Like in what way? Like your intelligence was intimidating, or your presence in general?
I don't think that it was because I used to ask people, I'm like, I don't feel like I like talk way too high. You know, I really try to like make sure that I'm not like speaking over somebody. I hate because I personally hate that feeling.
Like you're not talking aggressively at all. You're not really like,
you know what I mean? Or I'm not trying to like use big words to make myself sound fucking smart. Like I have like a blue collar vocabulary. I say fuck a lot. Like that's my shtick. And it's it was more the way that people have described it to me in the past is that it's more my intentionality and how intense my intentionality is. I've gotten that from women as well. That like when I say something is going to happen, it happens.
So like they're just not used to the stick-to-itiveness.
Right. Yeah. They're used to more wishy-washiness. And like I used to like try to just be like even with girls, I would try to like play a little bit of a game, you know, type of thing. But then I realized I was attracting the wrong type of people that way anyway. So at this point, I just wear my heart on my sleeve. And if you can't take my presence, that's a you problem, not a me problem.
Oh yeah, same. Like I try to be. It's like
you for sure. You have a very vivacious personality.
Yeah, I try to. I don't know. I've been told I'm very abrupt. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like because I believe in being genuine as possible. So it's just like you know, when I want something or when I want to express something. Like I prefer to do it. Not, it doesn't even like people take me serious. Don't take me serious because of that. Like when I explain stuff, because like of how I say it, it kind of sounds like fucking exaggerated. But like you know what I'm saying, I do that purely because of entertainment. I like entertaining the, you know what I'm saying. But like it's still a true story and it's still like a true event. And I'm still trying to give you like genuine advice or my genuine feelings on it, even though it's coming out in a bit of more of an exuberant manner. But that's just because I'm happy, you know what I'm saying? Like when I'm happy, that's how I like to express myself.
And you're genuinely happy. And that's the thing, is that like if you're genuinely fucking excited about something, get hype. Like I get hype when other people get excited about things. And if you're genuinely pissed or sad about something, like just be sad.
Exactly.
Don't try to be like, well, I'm not going to be upset because like, then I would be not strong as a man.
Yeah. And see, and I've also noticed that like you said, females aren't used to that level of abruptness either. No. You know, it's not one of those things where it's
unfortunately.
It's just be like, yo, like this is what I want and this is how I'm gonna execute it. You know what I'm saying? And they're normally just like Like, I'm pretty sure they're used to people just either like flaking on them or just like
Right.
not following through or just not
Right.
doing. Like recently, I've noticed like
There's
I'll
definitely
do
a lot of under promising out there. I
oh
think,
for sure. I do things like wash dishes after I'm done eating. And I guess now I've just noticed that that's a weird thing. That, like, I was told that's a weird thing that people do. Like, I guess guests don't normally do that, especially like, you know what I'm saying. Like, if I'm trying to like talk to a person, or like if I'm going over to someone's
Sounds
house,
like you're raised with a mom who would beat your ass if you
Exactly,
didn't
you know what
wash
I'm
the
saying?
dishes.
Especially if I'm going over like a female's house, and I'm trying to like, you know what I'm saying? It's like I feel like that's just common courtesy.
It's like common courtesy. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Common courtesy,
You
right?
know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to try and create an extra dish. The fact that you fed me in the first place is fucking
Yeah,
awesome.
thank you.
The
Appreciate
the
it.
literal least I could do is wash the shit. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying?
Yes. 1,000%.
You know what I'm saying? And then when I'm ready to
Yeah.
leave, I'm just gonna stand up and bounce. You feel me? Because just like,
I'm
it's
ready
like
to leave.
it's like, all right, bet.
Yeah.
I've stated that I'm ready to leave, and it's just like if I don't have anything else that I need to do, I'm gone. But I've been told that's kind of rude sometimes, so it's just like I want to try to maybe cut back on that a little bit. But
Yeah, you got to be able to feel out the energy of a room. I've realized that that's something. So I was literally just talking to my co-founder about this today. So it's cool that it's coming up in convo. So I was explaining to him that like sometimes I feel like I do things in my life in pendulum swings,
Yeah.
right?
in
And
what
so-
context? Like, how do you mean
So a lot of times like I'll start by my behavior way over to one direction, right? So let's take a breakup, for example, right?
that? Okay.
So in the past, and I just got broken up with like a month ago at this point. So this is like fresh, right? That's why we were talking about it today. So in the past, I would go through a breakup, right? And my pendulum would swing way to one side where I would be so cut off from anything to do with female presence that I would just lock myself in a hole. I would work. I'd get a shitload done. I'd be in fantastic shape and I'd be depressed as fuck. Right?
Right.
And then, but on the opposite side, I've also been broken up with, and the pendulum swung to the other side, and I'm having conversations with 15 people between Tinder and Bumble, right? And so at this point, I'm like, okay, and I think this just happens with age, right? I'm sitting here, and I just got broken up with. I'm locked into my routine because I know what my routine is, and I know what I enjoy. I have my habits, and I'm purposely being intentional about going on 2 dates a month.
Mhm.
Like, I'm going to match with somebody on Hinge. I'm not on any of the other apps at this point. Just Hinge is just the place where I live. Or like I'm going to hang out with buddies who are hanging out with people that I don't know. And I'm doing that purposely twice a month.
Yeah.
Because if I don't put intention behind it, if I'm not trying to meet people I've never met before or talking to somebody that I never had a conversation with, I'm never going to meet anybody new.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
for sure. That's for sure. I like to. My thing is, and I like to suggest it to people. Like, there might most likely be friends on your friends list who you've never had a conversation with for some reason, but you're just friends with them. Shoot them
Yeah.
a message.
Yeah.
Shoot them a message. You know what I'm saying? You never know. Literally, it could lead to some awesome shit. You never know. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
even if it was one of them situations where like maybe like they liked a photo or whatever the fuck, or you liked a photo like years ago and y'all still ain't never really had like a genuine interaction. You never know what somebody might be up to. It could lead to some genuinely awesome shit for real. Personally, I feel like getting out of your comfort zone in that way is pretty healthy for real. I think that especially being as upfront as you are with your intent and this everything you've got going on, it probably takes a you know what I'm saying, a special kind of person anyway to deal with like
Right.
just all that. Not to mention it's just you
I'm
also
alive.
have to
Yeah.
make time for like, you know what I'm saying? You got to
Exactly.
let them know like, hey, it's going to be a little
Exactly.
difficult because I got this X and O going on, you know what I'm saying? Like this, that, and the third type shit.
Yeah.
And I feel like as long as you're upfront about that, and I hope that you actually meet someone who's in the same sphere or has the same level of like drive. Because as long as I've noticed that as long as you both got your own shit going on, especially when it comes to early parts of the relationship, it really helps solidify the lack of codependency. You know what I'm saying?
Right, which
Because
is a
you
big
each
thing.
have your own-
I think
you
there's
each have your own
a lot of
identity.
people that believe that codependency is like the normal state of being in a relationship, and it is not.
I mean,
Yeah.
if it's toxic as fuck, but like that's apparently
Right.
that's been the trend for like since 2000. Fucking like, the
Right.
2010s is just like I don't know, man. That shit just became like a thing to do. You know what I'm saying? Like the word toxic like took on like a whole new meaning to the point where like it's still as trendy as it was years ago. To the point where like it's just people refusing to get help for their mental instability and just like making their relationship everybody else's
dumping
problem.
it, yeah,
type shit.
dumping it onto other people, or like I've noticed. And the thing is that I really try to, when I'm talking about subjects like this specifically, I really try to avoid like saying like those people or they or like, you know,
It's hard not to
individuals.
generalize because you don't know how else to frame it. You know what I'm
Right, it
saying?
is really difficult, but like I can speak from personal experience, right? So like personal experience wise, when I used to think about the way a relationship would be set up, I'm like, I mean, you guys know how intense my schedule is, right? So I used to be like, oh, I'm a shitty human if this person is asking me for additional time and I'm unable to give it, then I'm horrible, right? So I would just purposely like put other shit behind, like things that I needed to get done that would make my anxiety go up to spend time with that person, because I'm like, this is what a relationship is about. A relationship is about me dedicating time to this person and sacrificing my personal needs for this person, right? Not the case. And then I started to kind of get into, you know, what is more, even this last breakup was a very healthy breakup, right? Because like we had talked for about 4 months, and then we had a conversation where we were like, hey, how are you feeling about this? I'm feeling a little bit nervous about the distance. I'm feeling a little bit nervous about it too. I'm going to be really busy over the next couple of months. I don't know if I'm going to have time to talk to you. I also don't think that it's a good idea for us to have to pay to fly back and forth. And then we were both like, all right, cool. Like, let's be friends.
Yeah.
Right. But it was a very adult conversation, and it was very upfront. And it happened as soon as one of us felt an inkling that we didn't want to be together anymore. Right. Whereas in the past, I would just be fighting for that shit. I'd be like, hell no. Like, I've invested way too much time into this. There's no way that this is good. And like, if there's one thing that I've learned over the last couple of years, it's take people at their word. Like when they tell you something, don't try to rationalize in your head that like, oh, they're bullshitting. They don't actually feel that way, or they're not thinking that. Like, I just need to do this and then they'll, you know, be back. I did that a lot early on, like in my dating career. I say my career, like out here
in my dating,
out here making it heck. You can tell that I'm in business, right? I refer to everything in business terms.
It's speaking in business terms. How did you deal with that sort of stuff while you've got all this business stuff going on? Because you got a lot of shit going on, man. Like you got, like, you know what I'm saying, a whole business. You got co-ownership and stuff like that to worry about. A lot of fucking paperwork on top of everything else that you're trying to get going for you. On top of meeting people who've got like Fortune 500 shit going on, and that's a lot to fucking manage. How the hell do you manage having a mental-ish going on relationship-wise while you've got all that? I mean, because if you find a way to get over that, can you please like give me a little bit of the insight? Because it's like it's hard to get that shit out of your head when you've got a lot of extra obligations to people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because like when you're in what we do, a lot of people depend on us, and like, you know what I'm saying, and white folks need you to be on time. So it's just like you need to, you gotta have your shit straight. You feel me?
Hey,
so
there's one of those moments where you knew it needed a little droplet of fucking comedy right in there. You know what I mean?
It's just like so personally, how do you manage that aspect of things?
Really good question. I don't know if I've ever thought about that. You know, it's weird not being the host. Yeah, but this is awesome, right? Because like I'm normally the one that has to do that, but like I'm rarely on the receiving end. I'm gonna let me think about that for a second.
Yeah. So any questions on that, Adam? You got anything else? I'm pretty sure like early in your dating history, you had some shit go on while you're DJing, and it's just like, damn, do I even want to do this shit?
Because well, actually, I was on Tinder when it wasn't so sketchy. Like when it was like
early days of
new,
yeah,
and like
people were like, "Oh, this is a cool place to meet new people," and then like a year later, it was like, "I want to fuck."
You're like, man, this website got crazy. But yeah, I kind of like I went on like a dating spree when I was like looking right before I met Betsy, because me and Betsy met each other on OkCupid.
Really?
Just a classic app, you know.
Classic. I just met somebody the other day that met somebody on CatholicsMatches.com.
Oh, there you go.
Thing, bro.
Like OG
Catholics Match. Well, I was meeting all the. I was like there when like crazy started showing up on Tinder.
Right.
And so I went on a few dates where, you know, it would go well, and then something would just like, they're like,
your
hey,
spidey senses would start tingling.
You know where we can get some cocaine? And I'm like, no, I do not, ma'am.
Ma'am.
See ya.
Like, ma'am, this is a boba tea.
I was like, I'm not on that level of, you know, I can't hang. So
holy crap! Could you tell my allergies are kicking my ass?
Yeah, so that was fun. I had to. Yeah,
you legit had somebody on a Tinder date ask you for coke.
Yeah.
What the?
Like we were having a good time. Like
where did y'all go? Like
we went to the Oracle. We went to like George's and got some burgers. It was like a First Friday thing, so it was a lot of stuff going on. And
I mean, that do be the night that people probably do coke. So,
And towards the end, she was like, "You know where to get some cocaine?"
I was
like, I do not.
Little gummer.
And
is that where the date ended with Sniffany? Is that
yeah.
how it was?
Yeah, so that was fun.
And
yeah.
you just called it quits right there.
Yeah, pretty much. So
Like,
I made like an excuse. I was like, this ain't gonna work out. So I was like, well, I'm tired.
I gotta get my
I
braces
gotta work
tightened.
at Starbucks in the morning.
Yeah, you're like, the best thing I can do is get you a Mountain Dew.
Yeah,
That's the best
I
thing.
get you 5-hour energy. Like
5 hour energy.
Dude,
There you
those
go.
things used to be the shit.
fucking
I
gas
used to-
station pills.
I
You want one of
used
those?
to- I used to rip it, like rip it and stuff like that. I used to keep 5-hour energies in my pockets when I was in the military.
That's ridiculous, bro.
Dude, when I was
Throwback.
super broke working on Skid Row in LA, I used to go to a 7-Eleven and get those little, those things that you could put.
No wonder you're so fucking chill.
Nigga survived Skid Row. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. If
I've
you've
seen
been to
I've
that
seen
level,
craziness.
if you've been broke as fuck
You've been
on
to the
Skid
soft white
Row,
underbelly of
Yeah.
America.
then like
it's-
literally
It was funny.
everything above that, you're just like, this
Yeah.
ain't half bad.
It was funny because I was working with the homeless, but I was also like living, like eating whatever was, on at random kitchens and stuff.
Right,
and I was
right.
just kind of like, because
You ever
all
chill
my,
at somebody's tent? You ever just like go back to the tent and just kick it?
I mean, not like inside. Never been in the
Kick
tent,
it outside
but,
their
like,
tent.
I mean, I've talked to many people outside. The crazy thing, we used to go at night and like give out like book bed or sleeping bags. Like we would get tents donated,
That's dope.
and we'd look for someone that didn't have anything. Like, because people like the jails, they just drop you off like at 2 a.m. on
Like,
Skid
on
Row.
Skid Row, they
Like
just
if you have
leave you
nowhere
there?
else to go, they're like, well, good luck, see ya.
Why specifically that area though? Like,
It's just kind of like the place where everybody sends homeless people, and it's kind of like created. It was created that way, like I think in the 50s or 60s,
Yeah.
where
so why not just build a ghetto there or something? Like,
that's basically. I mean, that's kind of what it is. It's like a 50 square block area of just like missions and small churches, like little, like
so it's like a homeless city basically.
yeah, basically, yeah. It's like a city within a city. It's weird. Dude. It's like so when I graduated high school in 2009, I like found out about it through YouTube, and I was like, that place looks crazy. I need to just go help out there. And so I ended up like moving out when I was like 19.
You moved out to LA. And you were
Yeah.
19 years old.
And I worked with like a couple of different organizations on Skid Row and kind of raised support from here and like kind of worked for them like really dirt cheap. And
That's
I was
dope,
just kind of
actually.
like living the crazy life. But I loved LA, like in general, just different places. Like you'd end up,
yeah.
it was crazy. Like I'd wake up on Skid Row, like talk with homeless people. I'd go to like my church in Hollywood Boulevard, and then we would go to like some guy's house in Hollywood, like the Hollywood Hills, like Beverly Hills area. And I'm like, I've been in like the craziest places today.
That's
Just
awesome.
like the extremes of life.
Both sides.
Bro,
yeah.
do not tell me that. I'll go
Probably have such
tomorrow.
Yeah.
a
It was-
well-rounded perspective on
Yeah.
things, yeah.
It was gnarly.
That sounds like some shit I want to do.
All right, so relationship advice. I'm thinking about it.
All right, cool. What you
Yeah.
got?
So,
Don't settle.
well, yeah, I mean, that's a big thing.
I just feel like that's a given.
That's kind of cliche, I feel like, at this point. So, specific question is, like, how do you manage breakup mental stuff when you're a busy
Yeah,
human?
when you're
right?
a busy,
That's kinda
when
the-
you're a busy businessman.
So, I think I'll explain it in like the same way that I was doing other stuff, like previous version of me versus current version, right? Because I want to make sure that people understand that, like,
How old are you now at this point?
27,
27. So
Yeah.
we're talking about 27-year-old you versus when?
like 22.
Okay.
Like early, like college. You know what I mean? So like for all of the people that are, end up listening that are in school, like there was a different version of me that dealt with this. So when I was in college, I feel like I would generally just dump myself into class. I'd be really focused on homework. And then I would like be able to sustain that for like 2 to 3 weeks of just being like really intense, like in the gym, in class, focus on homework. And then I would just start binging. I would just start like partying all the time. I would start going out and getting hammered a lot. I would just be like making out with random girls at the bar. Like I just didn't give a shit. I mean, it was just like, screw
and the business
this.
didn't suffer like during the time.
Well, this was in college, right? So
like
I
it's
like
before
my
you even, like,
my classes wouldn't really suffer, right? Because I would focus enough on the classes that I wouldn't deal with anything, but it ended up causing, like, for years I was able to keep that up, but then what it ended up doing is making me feel like I was not like living by my own values, right? Because I was just I let a woman basically shoot me so far off of living by my own values that I just was like, I didn't even know myself.
Yeah.
So,
emotions make
like,
you do dumb shit, man.
Yeah. So in the business world now, like what changed basically, and this is why I wanted to give that comparison of when I didn't own the company. What changed is when I owned the business. Now, when stuff happens in my personal life, at the end of the day, I'm still responsible for paying people's mortgages through the organization that I created. Right. So like, there's a different sense of responsibility that comes with that when you mentally, when you take in, like, I pay people's paychecks, different ball game.
Yeah.
And so, but
the obligation like prevents you from just allowing it
to really mess with you. Yeah. But also like it puts you at risk of burning out as well, because you can't, there's two things that you can do, right? If you are really high pace, you can either bury it and just ignore it and keep executing.
Like the Irish.
That's what a lot of people do, you know?
Then you die of a stress and heart attack at 40.
It's a really good short-term strategy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the thing is that there's some people that are like, you need to feel everything and you need to let it out. Fuck no. There's some times where you just need to shove that shit down. You need to execute. You know what I mean? If you got a short-term timeline coming up, let's say like this girl like that just dumped me a month ago, right? Yeah. Dumped me a month ago. I'm in the middle of like coordinating my current ownership of the business that I'm trying to scale. I just onboarded to a second one. So like for the short term, like for the first month after we broke up, I basically just like pushed that down. I was like, all right, I don't have time to deal with that right now. I'm going to focus on executing on stuff. But here's the but.
Is it a big but?
It's a big but, right? You have to be self-aware enough of when it starts to eat at you. You're capable of shoving it down for a period of time. But what it ends up doing is you either deal with it eventually, or it becomes a part of your shadow that just starts following you everywhere you go, and you won't be able to get rid of it because you're not integrating those feelings. You're not allowing yourself to feel those feelings. So probably, it was last weekend. I was down in Knoxville, right? I go down to Knoxville every year for a football game. I sat on an overlook because I finally reached a place where I was able to relax, right? Sitting out over my favorite overlook, for me personally, this is not the same for everybody, but for me personally, nature is where I find my peace, right? So I'm sitting in nature, I'm detached from the situations, I don't have to worry about work, and I sob. I just cried for like 45 minutes, right? Let it out. Did that, wash my hands, and I move, right? So that's why, like I'm saying, like you can push it down for a period of time. Sometimes there's really inconvenient times to feel feelings.
So if I have this right, correct me if I'm wrong, right? So if I understand you, what you're saying is, depending upon extenuating circumstances, which might be a deadline for a project or the closing of a deal or something relating to obligations that you have in the business sense, if you happen to be going through this stuff at the same time, coincidentally, you need to have enough wherewithal of your own self and be self-aware of your own emotions to compartmentalize enough to push it back until you're done dealing with your important obligations, the monetary ones, so that way you can later deal with it, right?
Right. And the thing is that like, but in order to do that effectively, you have to have a foundation of habits to fall back on, because if you want to push those feelings down, you have to already have coping mechanisms set up that you can put on autopilot. Okay. So for me, I've been working pretty diligently over the last couple of years. I know my coping mechanisms are getting out into nature, going to the gym, reading. So when I go through a breakup now, instead of going to Jersey's, getting fucked up, and making out with random people, my coping mechanisms now are like walks, gym, reading. So when that happened a month ago, I had a bunch of stuff I needed to execute on with business. I knew that if I let myself just like melt down, that it would not be productive. So what I did is like, okay, I'm going to set that to the side right now. I'm going to rely on the habits that I've built to keep me going on autopilot until I can find the space to give myself the chance to deal with this. But if somebody doesn't have those coping mechanisms set up, or they don't have healthy habits, or they've never been taught how to deal with that emotion in a healthy way, when they try to bury it, it's going to manifest in whatever their current habits are. And if their current habits are not good habits, it's going to make those exacerbate. Right? So like if your coping mechanisms already are, and you know this about yourself, and deep down we definitely know what our coping mechanisms are. Like you know if you're a drinker. You know if you like perks. You know if you're a smoker. You know if you're a runner from difficult situations, right? We're aware of that generally. If you're aware that that's your coping mechanism and you know that you're compressing something down, take a look and see, are you are you unhappy because of the situation, the breakup in itself? Or are you unhappy with yourself because you're realizing that a lot of your happiness was coming from the breakup and the life that you have built for yourself isn't what you want? And that's what's making you really pissed. You know? Take a look at your habits. Take a look at what you do on a day-to-day. Are you doing shit that makes you happy? And if you're not, and you're using the breakup as an excuse, you're like, well, I can't go out and do things that make me happy because she made me sad. She's not around anymore, dude.
Yeah.
Like, what does she have to do with the things that you should have in order to not be codependent?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. That's the thing. Like, why keep dwelling on it? Because you're just going to put yourself through the situation twice. You feel me? It's just like, why re-experience the emotions that are already making you fuck up? The thing about it is, like you said, you have to eventually deal with them. But giving yourself the time and space to do so is probably something super important that a lot of us who are probably just bogged down with work to start with probably really don't even consider. They probably just like you said, it's easier to do nothing and just bury yourself in what you're already doing.
Especially as a man, dude.
Yeah,
I think it's way, so in some senses, in some people's groups, I've actually seen it be encouraged. You know, I know.
Talk about it just to
just to not. Yeah, why are you being a pussy? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, why are you upset about that? And I mean, I kind of grew up that way, like coming from an immigrant family, and you know, it was just like, why are you even dealing with that right now? Like, you should just be focused on what the next thing is. That doesn't matter.
As a black dude in America, I deal with that like daily.
Yeah,
so it's just like I'm expected like not to spaz out whenever certain shit is said to me or just done to me, and it's just like, all right, man. It's just like, why? Mainly because it's like, I guess society just dictates. You know what I'm saying? If I were to just express myself in like a more aggressive and less assertive way, then obviously that's just not kosher. You feel me? You just ought not to do that. But it happens a bit more often for me, and I just feel like all I can do is complain about it, and that's all I'm gonna do. You feel me? I feel like if that's the least I'm gonna do is complain about the situation instead of like, you know, I don't know, getting to the point where like now I'm upset more often than I should be. There's no point in that. You know, I feel like I just might as well just let it go. And I'm probably never going to see the person who slighted me anyway. So it's not even like one of those things to where I have to constantly deal with it. But when it does happen, you know, a bit more often than it should, that part's it's just more annoying for real, more than anything. Like I find that nowadays.
Yeah, those
when I was
little
younger,
things that just kind of pick at you.
Oh yeah, for sure. When I was younger, it was a whole lot more hair trigger, obviously. But it was just like,
I think we all were.
Oh yeah, as you get older, you're just like, damn it, I got too much going on. You know?
You're like, my back hurts. Dude.
I can't even be mad.
Like, I don't even have the
time.
energy at this point. What's really crazy is that people now put more time and effort into fighting on the internet than anything else.
My God.
And that also kind of irritates the shit out of me. It's just like,
God, dude. Yeah, watching people say things over the internet that I know for 100% fact they would never say in person.
Oh my God, it's wild.
Makes me like my skin crawl.
It is really wild.
You fucking coward. And I get for some people, like, I'm really into memes. You know what I mean? I love like, you know, and reading troll comments I think is hilarious. And I know some people do it, but you can tell the difference between like a well-intentioned comedic troll and an asshole.
Right.
Two completely different things. To your point about the nitpicking.
Yes.
Right? So I used to explain this to kids when I worked at the counseling center.
Yes.
And when it comes to those nitpicky things that build up. So I always used to tell them, I'm like, think of yourself like one of those nonprofit fundraiser thermometers, right? And so it starts at the bottom and then it fills up as you get closer to the revenue number or whatever else. Now picture that as a human body, right? So it's like the anatomy is laid out. They have their hands spread out. It's their feet to their head, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And every time something negative happens to you or something that you are incapable of dealing with because you don't have the coping mechanisms built or you're unwilling to ask somebody for advice because of pride or, you know, whatever that looks like. Every time one of those things happens to you, you color in a little bit of red, right? Yep. It starts in the bottom of your feet. There's a lot of people that live their life through the perspective of scarcity, that everything around them is cynical, that everything, like, people are out to get them, that life is just not going to go their direction. I know a lot of these people. I grew up around a lot of them, and especially in the Canton area. And those people have let so many small things, whether it's friends not speaking up for themselves when a friend makes a joke that they don't like about them, right? Not being willing to tell a significant other that they've overstepped their boundaries, not being willing to draw a boundary with a parent, right? Like all of these little minor things where they feel like they're sacrificing a part of themselves to somebody else. That fills them up. And if you're living your entire life with your level all the way up to your neck, of course everything's going to seem shitty.
Yeah.
Because you've never spoken your truth. Mm-hmm. You've never drawn that line, you know, because you think or you assume, and I say you as in previous version of me, used to believe that in order to be valued by other people, I had to give them my space, give them my time, let them make fun of me and not have to react to it. You know what I mean? Or whatever else the situation was. And that would build up, and then you just end up living life super cynical. So my advice at this point, it's like as soon as something like that hits, take a second. You don't want to be hair trigger. Yeah. You know what I mean? If somebody makes a joke about you, you could, you know, you don't want to be like, hey, fuck you. You know what I mean? And jump back. Right. But you can just say, hey, that not kosher. You know, I'm not cool with that.
Do you find that harder to do whenever you're in a business meeting or whenever you have somebody who's actually supposed to be like having an important adult conversation about something related to your monetary gains and they're just actually talking down to you? You ever had that situation where somebody's being condescending and you're just like, okay, I have to work with you, so I need to navigate this?
So I get way more defensive when it's somebody in the business world speaking about either somebody that they employ or somebody that they partner with. Normally, it actually has nothing to do with money. The transactions are generally pretty simple. You know what I mean? Like when you get to the point where you're signing a contract and you're doing a deal and you're providing a service, most of the time there's not a whole lot of gray area there. It's just like you either did a good job or you didn't do a good job. They pay you, they don't pay you.
Right.
But when I am trying to figure out, do I want to do business with this person? And then I watch how they interact with their staff, I can pretty much immediately tell I do or do not want to do business with this person based on how they speak to other people.
Right. So you see how they move with their business, and you're just like, okay, I'm sorry if I sussed them out, so now I've already made my decision.
Yep. And a lot of times, those are the people that are the best at speaking in a way that all of the arrows point in the right direction. But then as soon as you actually watch what they do, and that's a huge thing. Like,
now, are you looking for like results outside of that, or are you just looking for exactly just interaction? Because like, what matters to you more, I guess, is the question I'm getting at here in this particular sense when it comes to that level of judgment.
So it depends on how involved we have to be, right? So like, if there's an organization that I don't necessarily believe in the way that the leader is leading the organization, but the values of the organization and the mission of the organization are positive, I'm willing to do business. If I think that the business, here's a great example. There was a gentleman from Cleveland. I'm not going to name the company.
Okay.
Right? There's a gentleman from Cleveland that came to us and wanted to do business surrounding like building websites accessible for the blind. Right. His methodology for getting clients was sending lawsuit papers to companies and then following up on those lawsuit papers, scaring the shit out of them, saying that if they don't engage with him in business, that he's going to report them to an agency that doesn't necessarily exist to sue them for accessibility issues on their website.
That wouldn't even, first of all, like...
Right? So it's like extortion, basically.
Would it take even that much legal acumen to realize that's some bullshit? Like...
Well, and the thing is that there's a lot of business owners that fall for that. You know what I mean? Because they're like, hey, this guy's a lawyer, because he is a lawyer. This guy's a lawyer. He's sending me a letter. It has a lot of legal jargon on it, and it says something about blind people suing me.
Gotcha.
He happens to provide services that people sue, and he was trying to get us to design the websites, because that's part of what we do, is we design websites to be accessible. And as soon as...
Right.
And then they get extradited, and then they move on to the next group. And so I try to avoid people like that in business at all costs, because I'm like, I don't care how much money you want to make me in the short term.
Right.
Like, I'm trying to build a legacy company built on reputation, and engaging with you is not going to be a positive.
Yeah.
I understand that. I find like it's not the same level at all, but I just kind of find it's I feel like it's a little similar whenever I have to like turn down a person who asks me to like host for a significant amount of money, where it's just like, hey, like come host the show for me, I'll give you like $500 or whatever. But it's just like, I don't think I want to work with you, bro, because like not only have I heard about you, but I've also ran into you like in passing enough times to know that, you know what, you're not the type of person that I want to rock with in any permanent capacity. And attaching my name to anything that you're doing is just something I don't want to do in the past. 100%. Like, I don't want like my digital footprint even attached. You feel me? Type shit. So it's just.
Well, you do business with somebody like that, and I mean, even outside of business, right? Like you.
This kind of paints a picture a little bit.
It's like your everybody has their own individual timeline, right? Yeah. So if you decide to interact with that person, you're like opening a portal into their world, and whatever the fuck is in their world has the chance to leak into the thing that you've built, and I'm not willing to open that portal because I don't know if I'm going to be able to shut Pandora's box once I open it. You know what I mean? And there might be a Chris Benji floating right in front of that door.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you have to be like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I want to be a part of your life. You know what I mean? I don't know if I want whatever energy you have going on in your world to leak into mine.
Yep. I feel like that, and I think that's just
especially hosting an event, dude. Being that front and center for somebody and having your name attached to it, like there's not any way you could be like, I wasn't associated with that.
Right, some shit like that. I think it's
you're the MC.
It's one of those things where it's like I don't want to be that guy about it, but it's just like I kind of like even though I ain't shit yet, it's just like I kind of want what I'm doing now to mean something to me at least type shit. And if I morally don't feel like doing business with you, I'm willing to sacrifice the dollars for that. You know what I'm saying? But even outside of that, I just kind of feel like it's a good practice to put yourself around people who you want to be more like and who you have intentions of forging long-lasting relationships with, especially when it comes to doing this business shit, because I want to make money with the team. You know what I'm saying? And if we got to add you on as an intern to start and then you start making money with us, like I'm still rocking with you regardless.
Right.
Like that's still like.
What did they say? You're the byproduct of the top 5 people you spend the most time with. Or
Oh yeah, for
like
sure.
That.
Your personality is just a compilation of like you're probably the favorite character you like watching on TV and like the 5 people you hang out with the most. You feel me?
Yeah.
And like the rest of that is just prejudice.
Character on TV. Yeah. That's a cool one.
The rest of your personality is just prejudices you got from your parents. So like you know what I'm saying? Like
that's deep.
But that's facts.
That's a whole pod on its own.
You feel me? Well, like you know what I'm saying? Hey, if y'all like the shit what we're doing right now, we can do this on the next podcast. You feel me?
Yeah.
What time is it now? Like 10 o'clock?
Like 10 to or.
We've been going for like 57 minutes and 41, 42, 43, 44.
Tell Charlie to get in here.
Shit.
Yeah, just about an hour. Yeah, we had just about.
Charlie, you coming?
Pod.
Where you at, bro?
Charlie!
You might not even be here. We're probably yelling.
I'm about to go check and see if
we're
just yelling into the void.
All right, cool. We're probably yelling at like an empty room right now for real. But no, if y'all like this type of content and stuff like that, we're definitely going to try and
Charlie's
do
here.
A little bit more of it. We're still going to do the rap thing, but I definitely want to try and get people in here for a little bit more of a deep dive on conversation, as well as a little bit more of an insight on just what we've got going on in the world around us and what we have going on in the All Circles Media team. Like we are a family here, and we all like have a lot of shit going on, but it's just like we like having you guys, like, you know what I'm saying, just interacting with us.
You look tired,
You know
bro.
what I mean? We can't do shit.
I am, bro.
We can't do shit without fans.
Charlie, how was your weekend, man?
It was cool, man. Shout out to Kylie making me smiley. You feel me?
Word.
It was definitely is our 5-year anniversary, so just doing that, like, you know, I did a wedding on Saturday, so we actually like left early, drove home on Saturday morning from Cleveland, then drove to Denison and did the wedding there, then drove back home to pick up some gear, and then drove back to Cleveland.
Damn, dude.
And that was on Saturday. So Sunday we went to the garden, a botanical garden in Cleveland, and like now we're back home. Got the new computer and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I was like, I guess you ain't see my text. I'm like, I actually don't need to come on. It sounded like y'all was killing it to me. I was listening. I'm like, dang, I was like proud of y'all in the other room. Like they're engaged. Like,
thanks, Dad.
it's a good feeling to not like have to
Appreciate it.
fucking like, you know what I'm saying, be everywhere. Like
I'm trying to take a little
I'm
bit
trying to
more
get a
of
Thunderbolt cord.
Need that Thunderbolt.
I want to take a little bit more of a role as just like just trying to like host it a bit more. I kind of feel like we have a lot to say about like a lot of things that we're doing, and like also tune into what's your podcast called again, Jon? Like,
The Apex Podcast.
the Apex Podcast.
The Apex Podcast.
If you are a business minded motherfucker like he is, you should definitely go check that shit out because you will actually like we just did here tonight. You will learn some good shit from this man. You know what I'm saying?
Real good.
Oh, for sure. I have thoroughly enjoyed working with him, and I'm definitely gonna take a lot of what you told me here, like to heart for real. Because
really enjoy making moves.
Oh yeah, for
Making
sure,
moves.
man. I like making moves together. For real. Charlie Parker, you got anything coming up? You know, anything you want to talk about? How's the gospel album coming along? Actually,
Chuckles.
Bro. Well, it's been on pause, kinda.
Pause.
Just because we got
Pause.
like a whole new setup.
mm-hmm.
But I was actually just thinking about that today. I'm like, that's something that I can just, cause I try to just like keep myself going. Like, okay,
Mhm.
this season or this quarter or whatever, I'm gonna work on this. Or even if it's just like at this time in my life, I'm working on this. So
Mm-hmm.
that is, thank you for putting it out in the atmosphere. Cause now I feel like, hey, you got to get that done. You know,
I mean,
what
I would say so. Like half of our audience, most definitely. Like shout out to everyone else on all of our other streaming sources,
Shout out.
Twitch and all that. I think they'd be interested in hearing some shit. Like you're a good enough rapper that it's just like I want to hear you talk about Jesus. I want to hear you. I want to hear what
Yeah.
I literally want to hear what bars you got about Bethlehem. I think like I just need to.
Man, I heard
Yeah.
Jiz's new album, and it was like the Forever Story,
Is it good?
crazy. The way I just liked how he can talk about God, and it's not like sometimes it just feels so forced and like fabricated. And he man, bro, go listen to the Forever Story. He's definitely I'm gonna say it. He called Kendrick level at this point. I don't care. Nobody say like he's there. And I like me and Kylie was talking about how like J. Cole is setting himself up to be succeeded. And much like how we seen Wayne did with like Nicki and Drake,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? And I love that. I love like being able to see. And then when I did the Vans contest, Jid was actually one of the judges for that. So I remember him like there's a clip. I'm gonna find it too. There's a clip of him saying, I like Charlie Parker. So like I was just thinking like, damn, like, you know, it's so connected. Like, okay, I always wore Vans. Like another thing we did on the trip, we went to the Vans store in Strongsville.
Mm-hmm.
Their mall is cool. We wanted to kind of visit because that's where we got my dog Stormy from. We bought her from a pet store in that mall. So this time we went to the Vans store, and it was just like, it's just crazy. I was just thinking like, damn, like I always wanted Vans when I was a kid because I couldn't afford like Jordans, like, and I still have a problem as a grown man, like, in seeing some shoes that's like $220. Like my limit on shoes is like $150. I ain't gonna front. I spent $400 on some shoes one time.
I was gonna say I've definitely got a pair
Like,
of
I
boots.
will
that are
buy like
$400.
freaking like 5 pairs of shoes for that price, bro. I'm not even.
I've had those
You
boots.
feel me,
since
though?
I go
high
to
school,
Marshalls.
though,
That's where I get all my.
I mean, I'll do
Adidas.
that
Boy got
too.
Birkenstocks,
But
bro.
these specific shoes, like those Air Maxes that I wear with the Lakers jersey, the purple and yellow
Them
ones,
nice,
the purple
though.
and gold ones,
Yeah,
them
them
was
nice.
like $400. I ain't gonna cap, and that's not a brag piece. I wasn't like geeked up about that. I just really wanted those shoes, but so growing up though, it was like bless you. It was Vans because that I could be swaggy and still,
Got
you know
my
what I'm saying?
Vans on.
You know what I'm
Swaggy
saying?
on a
But
pair
they
It
of
look
ain't
like
for real.
sneakers.
It didn't cost a whole lot of bread. So now, like to like go from like just a kid who just wanted some Vans to like doing something with Vans, and now like a highly respected artist is like, hey, I like him. Like that's it. And like so now that was like last year, 2 years ago, something like that.
Right.
So now going forward, this artist has elevated,
Mm.
and that just makes me like,
Gotta
wow.
keep up.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like I'm just like, oh man.
Well, shit. Well, speaking of Succession and
Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar, actually, what did you think of the new Black Panther trailer that just came out that revealed that just like in the comic books, Shuri will be taking T'Challa's place?
Did you say just like in the comic books?
Yeah, just like in the comic books.
I didn't know that was just like in the comic books.
You gotta read
If,
them, bro.
if somebody would have said that to me,
I will let you borrow my Marvel encyclopedia so you can update yourself.
I'm gonna
on
be
that.
honest.
the
It actually
details.
doesn't surprise me.
It's
that
gonna
they
be-
have one of those.
Yeah, I have,
it's
I have
gonna
two
be
copies.
it's gonna be a collectible item if you get that to me. Like I be wanting to read.
You better open that book.
I could see myself reading Miles Morales comic books because I kind of been thinking that like, because like I got this dream, low key. I'm gonna put it out there. Like people keep telling me I look like this dude. Like swear to God, like I've heard this like 5 times. So like I'm like, I think I want to get myself prepared for this role when it comes. No, I'm telling you, because that time is gonna come. The time is gonna come where they're gonna be casted for it. And I'm like, man,
for an older
Charlie
for an older Miles Morales. They gonna be casted for
shit,
you gonna be playing his adult version.
No, because I feel like I gotta shave this. I gotta lose like 20 pounds, and I gotta get like in shape. But I think it could be done because it depends upon, I think, like what version of him they will use. But he only like 5'8". He's only like, and he's only like, he's a teenager.
Yeah, be like 14, 16 years old.
That's what I'm saying.
So
But I think it could work. Tobey Maguire was fucking old as shit.
Nigga, you about to lose that shit to Jaden Smith. You about to lose that whole role to Jaden Smith.
Oh shit! See, that's why you don't share your dreams with people, because your haters be right there. But I ain't gonna cap.
Hey, like Shia LaBeouf says, don't let your dreams be dreams.
Right.
Just do it.
But I ain't gonna cap though. I did think Jaden Smith would be a good ass Miles Morales.
I'm
not gonna cap.
I think we'll both be at the movie premiere still whenever they eventually do that shit. I feel like that shit. I feel like, because listen, bro. I'm gonna tell you like this. Carrie Means, right? The voice of Frylock from Aqua Teen Hunger Force, like one of my favorite TV shows when I was a kid. Like,
bro, you keep bringing stuff I have not thought
Unlocked
about
the
years.
memory.
Unlocking nostalgia. I'm
gonna try and do Adult Swim Fest next year. You feel me? So it's like I met this nigga. He's a cool dude, and even he going through hard times and shit. I'm like, that's a celebrity who should be getting royalties, and he got a new movie coming out. Like Aqua Teen Hunger Force themselves has a new movie coming out. Plantasm. Y'all should go see that shit when it come out. But he ain't even getting like royalties and that shit. I'm saying, so if somebody as successful as him, who's worked with William Street, somebody who produces some of the best cartoons, I want to be. And I also met Steve Bloom at this last Comic-Con that I went to, and he told me, he's like, yo, like you got it. You could be a voice actor if you put your mind to it. Like, you know what I'm saying? I did it for a slice of pizza type shit. Like, that's how I got into it.
Just go on like Fiverr.
I think that every time I start meeting these new celebrities or meeting these new people that I like run into, it's like, I'm not trying to like, you know, like be that dude, but I really feel like I'm the type of dude to where like I could probably actually genuinely be friends with these people and just see what's up with it. Cause I don't want to actually
you just talk about it earlier, bro. Just be genuine. And the thing is,
and
they take them at their word. And if they fuck with you, then don't question yourself and just be like,
oh
hey,
yeah, for sure. Like I don't I feel like when it comes to people who have anxiety, which is apparently most of us, like most people our age, I guess.
Right.
It comes down to you second guess yourself a lot. I second guess myself like all the time. I don't call that anxiety. I just call that like wherewithal. You feel me?
Right.
Because it's like if I'm doing something, especially an endeavor that's going to be successful in the future, if I have a team behind me who's also just as enthusiastic and just as supportive to keep me going, then I have no doubts about it whatsoever. Like all that doubt that I have that's gonna make me second guess myself goes right out the window, because now I got the people behind me who's basically gonna catch me should I happen to fall. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even expect I'm gonna fall, because now I got all the people there with me who's willing to, like, you know what I'm saying, like share their energy. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's what the value in having a team is. That's what the value of showing up is. You feel me? That's what the value of actually letting people know that you have support, because now not only do you have the obligation to prove to yourself that you can succeed, but you owe it to everyone else who believes in you at that point, don't you? You know what I'm saying? Don't you owe it to everybody else who fucks with you to prove that they're just as much as the shit that they think and you think you are? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
I think so. You know what I'm saying?
Well, do you want to shout out who was at the who was in the podcast studio?
Oh yeah, that was kind of a cool situation. Dope. So like I was it was like Saturday at like what 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, like less than 24 hours than when this needed to go down. And my buddy, my co-founder actually.
Hey, wait a minute. I love y'all, but I gotta go to Walmart. I gotta go get a cord for their clothes. For real, I gotta get this computer set up.
Yeah, you do.
Charlie Parker XOCHARLEE Parker XO on IG, all of that. Bye. Y'all keep going.
Wally World.
Wally World.
I totally forgot where I was going.
RJ.
Talk about. Oh yeah. So RJ calls me, right, and he's like, "Hey, like I got a favor to ask," and I was like, "All right." Like he never calls and asks for favors, so like I was like, and I knew that his dad had just had hemorrhoid surgery, so I'm like, "I'm a nurse. Your dad's relationship with Bob." But
shout out Bob.
Yeah, shout out to Bob.
Shout out my dad.
And he ended up calling me, and he was like, "Well, there's this guy on IG, local to the Canton area, named Bounty Tank. He's got like, I don't know, 230K
on
IG. Basically makes a living doing bail bonds, and then started a YouTube channel, advocates for police and bail bondsmen. Also,
like Patty Mayo type shit.
kind of, yeah. He basically outlined it as like he's trying to get people to understand that bounty hunters aren't just all dog.
Yeah, it's just not dog.
Like,
Or Patty Mayo.
There's not only one.
Yeah, there's not
in
only
America.
one, and they're not all like pretentious, like pretending to be way over the top type of thing.
Yeah.
Like some of them just literally
dog's
do
a
it for
bounty
Not all
hunter.
of them are actually gonna smoke with you and talk about Jesus at the end of it. Like,
Right, right. So he basically was like, hey, RJ told me, he was like, well, they're looking for a place to record this show, and I was like, well, I mean, I could check and see if like the studio's open. So I call Adam. Adam's on his way to a wedding, like in BFE,
I'm in, like,
PA.
I'm in the
Like,
hills,
in the
like
hills,
with
not
no
getting
reception.
service. Yeah, so like we're texting back and forth like once every 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And end up getting the studio secured and said, hey, like I'll be there on Sunday. Adam came in and set stuff up in the morning. I was here for a little while working. And then Bounty Tank showed up, Officer Lamar Sharp, who's also kind of a local celebrity around here, I would say. Influencer is probably a better word. Founder of the Be a Better Me Foundation, I believe is the name of
Right.
his.
I think I see some of his
Organization.
organization stuff all over the city.
Yeah.
Actually, he's got some flyers up.
Yeah,
Some ads.
it's like him opening up the police uniform with a
Yeah,
with like a
big black
superhero
dude.
shirt on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's really cool. I've met him a couple of times in the past, just in passing, downtown
Yeah.
Canton, different events and stuff like that we've been at. Definitely wasn't expecting him to be here. And then there was another guy named Tony Slyman, and he also owns a bail bonds company. And so I think between all of them, it was like over almost 300,000
Oh,
exposure, like for
That's awesome.
as far as followers goes.
Mm-hmm.
And they sat in here and recorded an episode for an hour talking about an issue that's being passed through Ohio State Legislature right now that's going to affect police and bail bondsmen. And basically, I think the general gist that I was getting is that it makes it exponentially more difficult to arrest somebody that has committed a theft of less than $1,000. So
Oh,
it basically
okay, yeah.
gives everybody
I actually didn't know that.
a free pass to steal things.
Wait,
Yeah.
as long
that's
as
what's
it's
up for
less than
legislature.
$1,000. Yeah, it's the same laws that caused a whole bunch of havoc in Seattle and
So
New
basically,
York
like
and
if I could run into the store and steal a TV, and if it's worth less than $1,000, I can't be prosecuted for it.
I have no idea what the law actually reads, but
I'm gonna Google it.
from what I was
I'm gonna
gathering is that it's something similar to that, right? That
Damn.
like
So like
Is
the
that-
same thing that the shops in Seattle were experiencing when they became that
Yeah.
like law-free zone or whatever that
Oh,
they
yeah.
had, where they were like, oh yeah, like you can just basically do whatever you want. The cops aren't going to interfere.
Yeah,
That's a bit weird.
that is
Yeah.
Does
like-
Seattle also have that oddly specific law that they're allowed to open carry as well as conceal carry without a license of any kind?
I have no idea.
Because we
That
passed
That
that,
we
a
have that.
Yeah, I
Yeah, we
think we
passed
have
that a
that.
little
We
while
have
ago.
that.
I always thought that was a bit weird. I'm just like, nigga, why is that such a specific law for Ohio indefinitely? Like, now I have the blicky on me no matter where I'm at. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I can conceal that motherfucker. It's just like, it's kind of weird. It's just like, you know how many people you just gave a pass to just,
Yeah, like-
to
Yeah,
just be
bro.
extra dangerous?
I've always carried in my truck, but now I definitely make sure that I carry
Yeah.
in my truck.
Oh, you do not want to be
Um,
caught lacking. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
no, and
Yeah.
you ain't gonna. Well, I would be lacking right now, but you know, I trust you guys.
Yeah,
Um,
I know Charlie's a little weird with guns.
Yeah. So they came in, they recorded, had a great time. I think that they're probably gonna want to come back and
That's
and
dope. I'm
potentially
excited.
record something consistent here,
Yeah.
from what it sounds like. So
That's awesome.
And if you want to record a podcast, hit us up because
Yeah.
it is for rent.
It is for rent. If you
We're
would like to do a show, come on, come talk to
Yeah.
us. You know what I'm saying?
You don't
We'll
have
work
to
out the
have
logistics.
the painting with the dinosaur and giraffe boobs. We'll take it down if you want. But if you want it, you know, hey,
If you'd
it's
like
over
extra
there.
giraffe
Sometimes
boobs, we'll talk to
I'm
our dude.
I'm 90% sure that was the background of their shot.
Oh,
When
really?
they
Oh,
shot the-
yes.
That's awesome.
When they shot the video
That is so
to
awesome.
talk about Ohio
It's just
State
such an epic-
legislature. So I'm like, oh, that's definitely going to
Yeah.
be on his YouTube
I
channel.
told Dave Sherrill we need something specifically for the toilet. Like when you're going to the bathroom, there's an empty space on the wall. It's already got nails hung up. I just need Dave to make like a dope painting or something
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Something ridiculous.
Yeah.
What was I gonna? Oh, I'm gonna
But
check
yeah.
his YouTube channel to see if.
Oh yeah, did he post that? They seem to turn it around quick.
See if they posted it.
But yeah, shout out to him. That was awesome. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, y'all. As much as I love you guys,
Yeah, we got
Oh yeah, I think we should
Wrap
probably
it
wrap
up.
it up for
probably
real.
gonna.
Yeah, I think it's about
Alrighty.
that time. You want to give us a little outro real quick? Actually,
Yeah.
Jan, if you want to give us like a little
tell people where to
yeah.
find you.
where to find you at. What's your socials? What you got?
You can find me, but probably the best place is going to be LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
That is definitely the spot that I do the majority of my talking.
You got your
most of
Instagram
my
back?
advice. I did get my Instagram back. So it's Jan, looks like Jan, Jan. Almasy, Almasy on LinkedIn, and then on IG, same thing. Jan looks like Jan _Almasy.
Or if you need some pictures taken, hit up his brother Sam. Sam almost.
Yeah.
Sam with the grams.
3:30 a.m.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Night Shift, I think, is one of his IGs, and then
Yep.
he's got 3:30 a.m.
Yep.
Is the
Yep.
other one.
Man, we got
and then
destroyed
Apex
this
Communications Network.
Exactly.
If
Don't fuck with the
you-
rogue ones. You
If
feel
you
me?
need any web dev, you need any marketing services, you're
Yeah.
trying to just get some. Honestly, for real, like, you don't even have to buy shit. I love talking to people about just ideas that they have for companies. Like, I just randomly talked to some dude on IG for like 45 minutes the other day just answering advice
Yeah.
because he was like, "Hey, I have this idea." So that's the thing, y'all. Like, I do the same thing to people that I want to be my mentor. Like, if you see somebody doing some shit that you want to do,
Yeah.
send them a message.
Yeah.
You have no idea. Like, I spontaneously throughout the week, I
Yeah.
get bored and I'll hop
Just
on
invest
IG
a
and
little bit
talk
of
to
time.
somebody for half an hour
Yeah.
and
That's
just
all it is.
and give them a whole bunch of advice.
Exactly. Talk about anything, dude. He gave me
Yeah.
workout advice one time, dude. It was awesome. It's like-
Yeah, well, I was sitting at Applebee's with Tyler
Yeah.
like a month ago and was like, "Dude, you're lactose intolerant. How are you not doing X, Y, and Z?" And then he started doing X, Y, and Z, and he was like, "Bro."
yeah.
That's
He
a
was
lot
like,
better.
"You mean if I take this, like, I won't shit my brains out when I drink milk?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
It's like, nigga, vitamins. What the fuck? All right, but yeah, you want to give us a little outro, Adam?
Where can people find you?
You can find me on I Hate the Gram 23. That's me on Instagram. That's me on IG. They're gonna pay me to say that one day. Or you can just find me at Tavon Williams on Facebook. Ty_the icon on Instagram. No, that's Snapchat actually. And I think that's about it. I think that's all my socials for real. I do comedy. I'm pretty funny, and I will be trying to do a show at Crackpots this upcoming Sunday.
The
What
applause
about
in
you?
there.
What about you, Adam?
You can find All Circles
Rob.
Media, Adam R. Rob, Adam Rob Film. I got too many
You
Instagrams.
have way too many IGs.
Yeah, but
Double authentication
we
now. though.
do. Yeah, double authentication gang. we got
We
the
all
all.
got hacked.
We all got hacked. It was
I didn't
fun.
get hacked.
Shout out to Jan.
It was a real fun time. But we got it back, and they didn't really do anything to the account, which is
Which is
I
solid.
thought I was gonna have to rebuild this thing.
No, it's just a whole bunch of
We had
messages.
to rebuild the
Yeah.
fucking podcast. Took forever.
Yeah, that I did. That was because I was eating cereal. I spilled milk all over my computer. Had to take up some keys. Accidentally reset my entire computer.
Damn.
So I had to log into everything all over again. So that was a pain in the ass. But anyways,
What did we learn, Adam?
we learned
Don't
be
eat-
careful with cereal. It was like the craziest thing too. Like I was like towards the end.
Bro, at one point I was holding the
And-
bowl, and the next thing I knew, I wasn't holding the bowl.
Yeah. And we were watching Survivor, and I just was like, I was working on stuff on the computer, and all of a sudden my hand just goes whoop, like just no control. And I was like, what did I
You're like,
just
did
do?
I just spontaneously?
Boy forgot how to
I was like, no. And so yeah, I had to clean all. Actually, Betsy, my wife, cleaned all the keys.
Shout out Betsy.
Shout out, Betsy.
So that they were sticky and yeah,
Shout out my
man,
dad.
it was a whole mess. Anyways,
Alrighty.
so
We'll see y'all a little bit later on.
I'm gonna do my best Master Puff impression. Thanks for coming to the All Circles or the In Order podcast.
That I'm
That's
already-
oh man,
They already fucked it up.
Master Puff, we need you. Everybody's sick. Get better, guys. But you guys are returning into the atmosphere, where the All Circles media crew hang out. We're in the atmosphere. We're with the influence.
We're lifted.
We're lifted.
We're
Higher
no longer
than the
lifted.
I
ceiling.
won't be for the rest of October. But come Halloween.
Shout out
But
Sober October.
we love you guys. We will be back next Monday.
Peace.